Night 4. I got to the place at 11:50. As soon as I entered, I ran straight to the back of the building. I didn't have the bravery to look at those animatronics in the eye. It sounded silly, but it was true. When I entered the office, it was very messy. There were some papers on the floor. The van was flung across the room. The camera screen had a small crack in it. Strange, I thought, as I pressed the play button on the message machine. Hello? Wow, day 4. Good job. The man sounded dull and non-quirky like he always is. I also heard a banging sound in the message. I was beginning to get a little creeped out. Hey, I may not be around to send you any more messages. It's been a bad night here for me. I was beginning to wonder what exactly was going on. I started getting a small sense of anxiety rising in my stomach. If you get the chance, can you check in one of those suits in the back? I might be. The sound of a familiar tune cut him off. It was the tunes that Freddy would always used to play as part of his act. Could, Fre- could Freddy be doing something with this man? Oh no, he finished. The message kept going as I heard the sound of the man, some other thing scream, almost a very loud cracking sound. I was terrified, shocked with fear, and could not move. What happened to him? Did he just die? That explains the place being a mess, but how does this happen? It sounds like something impossible. No computer program creation could act like this, even if it was malfunctioning. I sat for an hour, not looking at the cameras or door lights. I was too terrified to do anything. What snapped me on my days was the sound of heavy footsteps approaching me on the right. I didn't even check the door lights. I didn't look at the cameras. I ran out of the room to the right to face whatever the thing making the footsteps was. I was confident, angry, and scared at the same time. As soon as I entered these halls, those feelings left me except for fear. There, looking straight at me were a pair of wide eyes. I just looked at it until it began moving forward and started laughing. It sounded just like Freddy's voice, so there was no doubt that what I was facing was Freddy. I ran straight back to the security office as soon as I entered. I began hearing footsteps going full speed after me, and the other door. I closed the door where Freddy was in time. As soon as I was about to close the other door, I saw the fox. It was running straight for me, mouth open and tears all over it, revealing its innards. I pressed the power button right before it entered, its nose being less than a foot away from me. I sat and let the power drain. By 2 a.m., I was at 72%. By 3, I was at 49%. At 4 a.m., it was 28%. And at 5:30, it was 12%. I didn't know if I could survive, and I began not to care. I was being away. One of my favorite childhood memories had been turned into a nightmare. I woke up to my boss shaking me. He told me that it was 7 a.m. and I needed to go home. There had been an accident. I asked what, but he said I shouldn't worry and I should go get some rest. He appeared not to care that I was sleeping on the job and just let me go without saying a word on the matter. As I was leaving, as I was leaving, I smelled this very foul odor in the main stage area. Also, bots appeared to have red marks around their eyes. As I was just imagining them because I do experience hallucinations from time to time, but a part of me was telling me that those marks were real. When I stepped outside, there were a lot of police cars out there. I saw some policemen talking to the owner and others writing down information. I also saw that car from a couple nights ago when I arrived from my shift parked in the parking lot. It had caution tape around it, which caused me to believe it belonged to my mentor. When I got home, I did all my research on finding some info on the old security guard. After a good 2 hours of research, I came across the name Todd Smith. I believe it could possibly be the name of the man I'm looking for. I'm not sure. I thought about asking my boss his name tomorrow. For now, I had to get some sleep. Night 5. I didn't want to go to work at all. I was too terrified, but I had no choice. I needed the money. It better be worth it. I arrived at the place. My boss was waiting for me. "Hello, sir," I greeted. "Shut your mouth," he replied. I was surprised. "Excuse me? Is there a problem?" I asked. "Yeah, there is." He began moving towards me. "That old security guard? The guy whose job you took? He's dead," he finished. You're kidding, right?" I asked. I knew he was dead, I just didn't want to believe it. "No, I ain't kidding. The funny thing is, you aren't the only person that could have been in here with him when it happened," he said. "What are you saying?" I questioned. "Oh, quit playing all innocent. You know that you killed him. I have no evidence other than you being with him at the time of the incident. I will find more evidence and you'll be locked up," he finished. "Sir, I can tell you that I've never even met the person. I did not commit this crime," I replied. "Then who did it? An intruder?" There were no signs of fourth entry. The animatronics? Impossible. He didn't wait for me to finish. He stormed away to his car and drove away. I entered and sprinted to the security office. I want to just get this night over with, and the only place I want to see those animatronics is on the cameras, not anywhere else. I entered the office and saw that I had a message. It was from my boss, so I pressed play. I was completely wrong. What I heard was a deep voice saying a bunch of gibberish along with a couple of screams. The voice sounded a bit like Freddy's, and I'm sure it was. With the way they've been acting, I'm not surprised they left this horrid message. I couldn't even figure out what he was saying, which frightened me further. I immediately picked up the tablet and began checking the stage and Pirate Cove. Those places are where those creatures originate, so my safest bet was to watch those places carefully. The camera then went dark. I then began to hear pots and pans shuffle around. This made me tense up because I knew one of those things were making those noises. When the cameras came back on, I checked everywhere for the animatronics. Freddy was still on stage, thankfully, but Bonnie and Chica were gone. The curtain in Pirate Cove was also halfway open, but that wasn't my main concern right now. I then tried to locate Bonnie and Chica. I found Bonnie at camera 3, and he was just staring at me through the camera. His face close enough that I could see his endoskeleton eyes. I began to scan around for Chica, but I couldn't find her. I checked the door lights. Chica was outside with her jaw wide open. I closed the door to avoid her getting in. As soon as I did that, I began hearing Freddy's tune play. I checked the cameras and saw Freddy in the audience area, and I could only see those wide eyes. I checked the door lights and saw Chica was gone, so I opened the door. I checked the cameras again. Bonnie and Chica were now standing on opposite sides of Freddy. I checked Pirate Cove. The curtain was wide open. I closed the door immediately, knowing soon the fox would be here. I then checked the cameras and saw laying next to Bonnie was that fox. Its eyes were wide open, but it was limp. The camera went black, and Freddy's tune then got slower and more demonic sounding. The cameras came back on, and I saw that now in front of the whole gang, was a limp Freddy Fazbear suit, with eyes poking out from the mask, with streams of blood staining down the sockets. The cameras went dark again, and the tune picked up speed gradually. I began hearing footsteps close in at every angle, and I hit both the doors shut as soon as I could. Then I blacked out. I woke up to bang on the door. I checked at the time, 5:55 a.m. I checked the cameras and saw that each animatronic was in their respective spot. I saw my boss showed up early and wanted to come in, so I opened the door, and I did. I saw that same Freddy Fazbear suit with the eyes poking out on the front. I was sure I could also see some teeth, but I didn't look too close. The last thing I noticed was a bib on its chest. It was the same one as Chica's, only there was dry blood all over it. I ran away out of the building, and I drove away as fast as I could. 2 days later, I received a letter. I received a letter in the mail with my check from Freddy's and a "you're fired" note. I didn't care. I wanted a different job now. I didn't want to spend another day in that place. I contacted the authorities and told them about what I experienced in that place. They told me I should get some rest. Yeah, right. What happened in that place for kids was not right. There was something very wrong. I heard the place is scheduled to close down soon, but have a grand reopening next year. All I know is that whatever went on in there could not be achieved by an AI controlled suit. I now see that what I truly loved as a kid was all a big, nightmarish lie.